The French President Emmanuel Macron has told the World Economic Forum in Davos that US tariffs on European countries opposing President Donald Trump's ambition to seize Greenland were unacceptable, saying the EU preferred respect to bullies. There has been strong pushback by European leaders against Mr. Trump's insistence that the United States must have Greenland and that there was no turning back. President Trump will address the World Economic Forum in Davos tomorrow. From there, our Europe editor, Tony Connolly, reports.
Greenland remains at the epicentre of a full-scale transatlantic rupture, probably the worst of its kind. In Florida, Donald Trump reasserted his claim on the island.
We have to have it. They have to have this done. They can't protect it. Denmark, they're wonderful people. And I know the leaders are very good people, but they don't even go there.
In Davos, President Trump's Treasury Secretary mocked the idea that the EU would use its punitive anti-coercion instrument to retaliate against the tariffs.
Sit back, relax. I am confident that the leaders will not escalate and that this will work out in a manner that ends up in a very good place for all, for national security, for the U.S. and for Europe.
Then the California Governor, Democrat Gavin Newsom, delivered a message for European leaders.
It's time to buck up. It's time to get serious and stop being complicit. It's time to stand tall and firm, have a backbone.
The European Commission President warned Mr. Trump that a trade war would only benefit those countries, China and Russia. He claims he wants to keep out of Greenland.
And plunging us into a downward spiral would only aid the very adversaries we are both so committed to keeping out of the strategic landscape. So our response will be unflinching, united and proportional.
The French president, sporting sunglasses due to an eye infection, said Europe preferred respect to bullies, warning of the rise in neo-imperialism.
Competition from the United States of America through trade agreements that undermine our export interests, demand maximum concessions, and openly aim to weaken and subordinate Europe, combined with an endless accumulation of new tariffs that are fundamentally unacceptable.
All eyes now on Donald Trump's descent into the Swiss Alps tomorrow.
And Tony joins us now from Davos. Tony, the stage has been set for Donald Trump's arrival in Davos tomorrow. What can we expect?
Well, Sharon, we don't know exactly who he's going to meet yet. He's due to give a news conference in the White House just about now, so we might hear more details on his plans here in Davos. Mark Rutte, the NATO Secretary General, is supposed to be meeting him. Bart de Wever, the Belgian Prime Minister, said he's due to meet the US President as well. Friedrich Merz, the German Chancellor, keen to meet Donald Trump as well. The problem for the Europeans is, if this is a negotiation, what are they going to talk about? There has been a crescendo of outrage now from the Trump administration that Denmark can't defend Greenland, as if there is a clear and present danger that Russia or China will take over at any time. Now, the problem for the Europeans is that if you look back at the national security strategy published by the administration in early December, there isn't a single mention of Greenland as being part of the concerns for America's strategic threats. So this feeds a suspicion that this is not really about a military threat to Greenland. This is more about Donald Trump's own legacy. And he is on record in his first term as saying that he loves maps and seeing the size of Greenland on the map, and we know that he likes to add his name to objects and prizes, and so there is a suspicion that this is going to be a negotiation that is already something where the Europeans cannot really get any purchase on the US president.
Europe editor Tony Connolly in Davos, thank you for that.
Here, the Taoiseach Micheál Martin has said the EU is facing a grave moment in terms of its relationship with the US. Mr Martin said the government will do everything it possibly can to protect the jobs that depend on the transatlantic relationship without sacrificing basic principles.
In a fast-changing world where the once binding rules of international trade and law are being cast aside, the consequences for this country were forcefully outlined by opposition parties in the Dáil.
If Trump is threatening military action in Europe and using Shannon Airport, with US planes? That's a huge question for us. But absolutely we need European solidarity.
The strategy of EU leaders appeasing Trump has not worked. His belligerence and erratic behaviour is escalating.
In his response, the Taoiseach repeatedly spoke of the need to work with EU partners to protect the national interest and, crucially, the jobs in this economy.
And it's a grave moment in terms of the transatlantic relationship. And Europe will be strong and unified.
As St. Patrick's Day approaches on the horizon, the Taoiseach was advised to give the White House a wide berth next March.
You're not seriously going to go to the White House with Shamrock this year and celebrate our National Day with them?
Grand statements don't put bread on the table. Easy to do, Deputy, but it doesn't put bread on the table.
Economic necessities was also a theme highlighted by Sinn Féin, who contend the EU has a trump card to play on this front.
I think it is important that Europe realises that it does have strength in this regard. It's not in the interest of American companies or workers to see conflict in terms of trade.
In a call that evokes memories of past crises, the opposition is now seeking detailed briefings from the government to find out just how prepared the economy is for the possible choppy waters ahead. Micheál Lahan, RTE News, Leinster House.
Cooperation or conflict? That's the predicament facing Europe as US President Donald Trump threatens tariffs if he doesn't get his way over taking over Greenland. So where does that leave Ireland, an EU member heavily dependent on US multinationals? Well, we're joined now by Simon Harris, Taoiseach and Minister for Finance. Thanks for coming in to speak to us this evening, Taoiseach. I know you've been in Brussels, you've been meeting with other finance ministers and commissioners. We're all used to Donald Trump saying things and then it changing very quickly again. How seriously is this being taken?
It's been taken extraordinarily seriously because it has to be. This is in many ways an existential moment. And if there's any form of annexation of Greenland, no matter how that might come about, there's no doubt in my mind that that would be a Rubicon moment. And the risk there is that that would cause a spiralling effect, a chain of events, which could cause significant financial damage to European economies and indeed to US economies. So now is a time for cool heads. There is a window here, and as you say, we've seen in the past comments made and not followed through. There is a window here between now and the 1st of February, and we must use every hour to intensively engage. As President Trump likes to talk about having cards, he doesn't have all the cards here. Europe, when Europe works together, is a very large economic bloc. We must work together, we must be coordinated, and we must work in a cool, calm and collected way. OK, so you're talking about cool heads and negotiation, but is it not time for Europe to have a backbone and to stand up to President Trump and push back? Oh, let's be very clear. We will respond. We will respond accordingly. We will respond, as President von der Leyen said, without flinching. And there'll be plenty of opportunity for engagement on what that might look like. I spoke with colleagues today. The Taoiseach will be at the European Council later in the week. Minister Helen McEntee will be engaging with her colleagues. So there'll be plenty of time to respond and respond accordingly. And let us assure the US administration, Europe will respond. But we don't want conflict. Europe and the US are much stronger when we cooperate and when we collaborate. So what we want to do now is use this window from now to the 1st of February to try and find a way forward, because what we absolutely know here is that the US economy will also suffer. US companies need access to Europe, they need access to our markets. Global companies need a presence here in Europe. So we need to work our way through this step by step.
So you're the Minister for Finance here in Ireland. Is Ireland prepared to take a financial hit then to support Greenland in maintaining its sovereignty?
Well, of course, we want to work to maintain every bit of economic strength we can, and we approach this moment of challenge from a relatively strong economic position, budget surpluses, we've built up funds, future funds, full employment. But of course, we're also a small open economy. There are values, though. We are European, and you cannot have a situation where one country can say it wishes to take a part of Europe, whether Europe wishes it or not, or whether Greenland wishes it or not, or whether the Kingdom of Denmark wishes it or not. So we will be working our way through this. I met the Chief Economist in the Department of Finance this evening. We will convene the NTMA, the Central Bank and senior Department of Finance officials on Thursday. Minister McEntee will convene the Government Trade Forum on Friday, and we'll engage with all stakeholders. But we also have to make sure here that we use the time to try and find an agreement and to try to de-escalate. There's lots of speculation of what instrument could be used, what response could be given. There'll be plenty of time for that, but now the time is to try and find a way forward.
You're talking about a united front with the EU. We are, of course, part of the EU. Does that mean that Ireland will stand behind the EU if there are tariffs put in place for the United States in retaliation, including if it means tariffs on tech companies which are based in Ireland?
So Ireland will be part of any coordinated European response because our strength is being in Europe. We're a small open economy. Joining the European Union transformed our fortunes in so many ways. So we're clearly on Team Europe. We're in the European Union. We're sitting around the table. Any actions we take at a European level will of course be proportionate. But we don't want to get into that spiral of tit-for-tat tariffs. We've been here before and we saw how quickly
last time
the damage
around
it did.
Ireland didn't want tariffs on tech companies. Will that change if it has to change?
So Ireland doesn't want tariffs full stop. Ireland wants to find a way forward. So does Europe. But everything is on the table. Should we see a situation where the United States of America intends to annex in some manner or means Greenland, we have to be absolutely crystal clear on that. At the end of the day, you have to have values, you have to have principles. And like I say, President Trump does not hold all the cards here. The European Union, when it acts together, is a powerful economic bloc.
How do you protect jobs and also be principled at the same time if it comes to US multinationals in this country?
So I was in the United States of America last week meeting with many US multinationals. At the end of the day, regardless of who's in the Oval Office, these companies are global companies. They need access to Europe. They don't come here for the weather. They come here because of our talented workforce. They come here because of the access to a market of well over 400 million people. What we've got to do is control what we can control and make sure we're competitive, make sure Europe is competitive, continue the simplification agenda, continue to do what we're doing as a government, investing in capital, investing in infrastructure, speeding up delivery. So you've got to control what you can control at a time of huge geopolitical uncertainty. But I was very struck when you strip away all the noise and all the bluster. I was very struck in engaging with all those companies, how committed they are to Ireland because they know it is a good place to do business. And I don't believe that will change.
St. Patrick's Day isn't too far away. Opposition parties are saying perhaps the Taoiseach shouldn't be going this year. What do you think?
Well, it's always much easier to go when everyone's getting along great, isn't it? That's easy. But leadership is actually about going when times are tough and times are challenging. Our relationship with the United States of America is much bigger than any one person or any one moment in time. There's around, 30 million people, I think, in the United States who claim Irish heritage. There's around 220,000 people here in Ireland who went to work in US companies today. There's around 800 Irish companies in the US. The relationship matters, it's enduring, and it's much bigger than any one person.
You talked about all things being on the table. Does that mean the use of Shannon by the US military is on the table?
Well, there's no proposals to revisit that currently, and that hasn't arisen. I mean, what we want to do is get to a situation...
Even if Greenland were to be invaded?
Well, we've got to firstly take this step by step. The priority right now, from a European perspective and an Irish perspective, is to de-escalate, is to get to a point where we stand by absolutely Greenland and Denmark, come what may, but also where we try to find a way forward. And threats of tariffs isn't helpful to anybody, and that's why we're going to work every minute, step by step, in a calm, logical way with European colleagues to work our way through this. And Ireland will get through this.
All right, Taoiseach Minister for Finance, Simon Harris, thank you.
Thank you so much.